What's going on, YouTubers? It's your boy J.R. Williams, and today I'm going to show you how to transform your side view mirrors from this to this. Stay tuned.
I feel like a player. He'll save a home and send haters back to the Himalayas.
So here's the list of products you're going to need to complete this upgrade.
Send me a diva, I'm done dealing with rats. I got a pimp cup, I tossed over my gat. New school pimps, we finally on the map. I'm sipping a potion, yeah, I'm focused. I'm about to pull a one night hocus pocus. I pulled to a bump and now my pants is poking. I won't stop till I have a panty smoking. They fiend for the kid like they need a hit. Knees weak cause they fiend.
Now it's time to upgrade. Let's go. Okay, step 1. Prepare the part for sanding. As you see in this video, I'm separating the mirror cover from the main part, and this is just going to make the project a whole lot easier to complete because you're removing anything that you don't need, getting everything out of the way. Now step 2, sanding the part with a Scotch-Brite pad. This will remove the top layer of clear coat, and this will allow the epoxy to stick to the part, because you're gonna actually put the carbon fiber on top of the epoxy. And I'm using 220 grit because I wasn't happy with the 400 grit. Alright, step 3, I'm cleaning the part with wax and grease remover. You want to use a microfiber cloth to clean the part several times before proceeding to step 4. Make sure you clean all corners and edges, and make sure you clear, just clean it as best as you can before you proceed to step 4. Okay, step 4, you're going to cut out your template, and you're going to get your tape, and you're going to go to work. So I'm placing the parts on the back side of the carbon fiber, and I'm using tape as a template. So this tape also prevents loose threads from appearing on the borders of the fiber. And make sure you use sharp scissors to make the template. And make sure you leave yourself at least 1/4 of an inch margin around the part that you're going to be cutting around. And like I said, the biggest tip that I can give you in this step is using really sharp scissors and just taking your time. As you can see, I use really cheap scissors, but we got the template cut out and we're ready for the next step.
Damn, my hand's dry. Are you showing them dry?
No.
Not that bad.
All right. Step 5, mix epoxy and hardener according to ratio. So I'm using a digital scale for exact measurements. You don't want to mix a large amount of epoxy. I mixed 0.33 ounces of epoxy, but all I needed was about 0.15 ounces. Okay, so during the mixing process, you'll notice small air bubbles. So use a hair dryer or heat gun to dissolve the bubble. Step 6, apply the epoxy onto the part. This step is going to allow the carbon fiber to stick to the part. Now elevate the part so it does not stick to anything, and wait until the epoxy is sticky to the touch and does not leave residue on your finger. Do not allow the epoxy to dry. That's the biggest tip I can give you on this step. Do not let this dry, because this is going to allow the carbon fiber to stick to the part. This is almost like adhesive. And as you can see, I have just use one coat, one even coat on each part. Step 7, you're going to apply the the carbon fiber to the part and allow it to dry. Now start from the center of the part and apply the carbon fiber. Make sure the fiber is wrapped tight around all borders and edges, and tape any extra cloth to the back side of the part using blue painter's tape. And you can also just cut away that extra the extra carbon fiber. And just take your time and make sure the carbon fiber is secure and tight around the borders of the part. Okay, step 8, you're gonna lightly apply epoxy to the part. Lightly dab and brush the epoxy over the carbon fiber. Be very gentle in this step. And just take your time. You don't want to brush it like you're brushing, you know, paint on a wall. You just want to kind of lightly dab it in there. And once it's soaked through the carbon fiber, then you want to just spread it across. And the epoxy that I'm using is quick drying epoxy, so it dries in about 30 to 45 minutes, depending on the weather. It has to be at least 70 degrees or warmer in order for it to dry quick. Nice and even coats. Take your time. So in this clip, there are some small air bubbles appearing above the epoxy. So in the next clip, we're just going to take a heat gun and dissolve those air bubbles. Make sure the heat gun is on medium or low, and you should be good to go. So I'm on day 2 and I'm applying the second and third coats of epoxy and allowing each coat to dry in between. You want to make sure the part is stored in a warm room, at least 70 degrees. That way the epoxy can dry up quickly. So you can also sand in between coats, but I didn't go that route. I just applied my second and third coats because I want to kind of, you know, get this project over with. The sanding did take me a little bit longer, but overall I was happy. And make sure you cover this thing completely in epoxy. So step 10, I'm using a Dremel to remove the excess carbon fiber. And you want to make sure you don't get any epoxy on the blue painter's tape because it's a pain in the ass to cut off. Step 11, we are getting towards the finish line. We're getting ready to sand the part using 400 grit sandpaper. This is going to give us a smooth finish. Be careful not to over sand or put excessive force on the sander. You don't want to go too far into the epoxy where it reveals the carbon fiber. So take your time, let the sander do all the work. Trying to hold the camera and sand at the same time, I would not recommend it, but it's all for the sake of the tutorial. So we're gonna do some touch-up sanding because we have some clear, we've got some spots that we need to dull down and even, as you can see. And here's what it's gonna look like once you get about 98% to completion. And you may want to hand sand those shiny parts. There's still some little blemishes, some things that need to be sanded. but take your time and you should be able to knock those down and get ready for clear coat. So step 13, we're applying the clear coat. That's going to give us UV protection and prevent the epoxy from yellowing due to the sun. And you want to do 2 medium coats of clear coat. So this is the last step. As you can see, the clear coat came out really good. I'm really happy with the finish. So you can either wet sand it and polish it, or you can just reassemble it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reassemble the part. I've got some sealant around here that's going to stick to the front of the mirror, and I've got some double backing tape which is going to help hold it. So good to go, and we are finally complete. Behold the final product.
This is hood, this is heat. They can hear me in the streets, feel me? Yo, steps in the spot with no shoes. Just a black hoodie and black Timbs, 2 racks to the brim. No click, just me. Same you from the gritty streets.
Overall, this is one of my favorite projects in regards to appearance, and I'm definitely doing another one. It took a few days, but it was well worth it. Here's a look at the before and after. All the major parts you need are in the video description. I want to give a special shout out to my sons for helping me out, Earth Beats INC and Socially Wasted. And a special shout out to Mopar owners, Boss Mario, Mopar Kid, and that orange Mopar. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on Instagram at Dodge This Avenger. Stay tuned for Volume 4. I promise it's on the way. It's your boy J.R. Williams. See you next time. Peace.
The beat's the same, it's gotta be a hit. I set it off by any means, better know I took a good game.